please. Yeah, step it up.
Tomorrow, last day of session, I gotta wear my white jacket.
I'm done.
Ah.
I'm done.
My favorite Brian jacket.
Yeah, I remember that jacket actually.
It's getting so threadbare. You can't replace
That
it.
actually is a good one though. I like that.
Thanks.
It's one of my favorite ones.
It's, I probably should have gone down a size.
You what?
I probably should have gone down a size. I went through this phase where I was like, I didn't want to admit that I wasn't a 42. I'm not.
Yeah,
All my jackets are like.
I have a suit that's that, and it was my fat suit, so I can't wear it anymore.
Most people are the other way.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
everybody grows. It's like we've been stung by a bee and we're allergic. We just swell.
So, Mr. Speaker, I've been told that it's Medicaid is between you and the governor.
You know what? I think we're coming down to the end here. We're in day 44. It's exciting times, and I still maintain it takes three to tango. So I wouldn't concur with that
Have
color
you been meeting
commentary.
with the governor personally?
There'll be meetings from now until midnight sign die. You can't predict them all, but I'm sure there'll be lots of discussion.
Have you been meeting with the governor today?
I have not.
Do you expect you may have an agreement pretty soon?
To say yes would not be inconsistent with what I've hoped this entire session. So we are still optimistic that good things can still happen. They're actually happening on multiple fronts. We're starting to see the coalescing that you need to see happen during a general session. We're seeing that happen right now. I think you'll be very pleased to report as we consider some of the religious liberty, anti-discrimination legislation. I think you'll see great bills passed, an incredible amount of work done on all sides by stakeholders. And those aren't easy, obviously. And the pace that we have taken on that policy issue alone has been, it's been a stretch. We've authorized a committee hearing while we're on the floor. That is extraordinary. We don't do it that way, but we're doing it because there needs to be a good process. There needs to be public input, and we are hustling. But it's happening, and I'm excited about that.
And
On
on that
Medicaid
note,
expansion, what needs to happen from your perspective to come to an agreement?
Just people need to agree.
What?
I can't. I don't want to negotiate through the media at all. I just think it's again, it's the optimism that we've always had. It's the hard work that Representative Jim Dunnigan's put into this issue. The hard work the governor's put into this, that Senator Shue has always put into this. We are still on the clock, and there is still time.
Has the bill been released yet by the House 446, and will it be?
Just as I had mentioned yesterday, the Senate had held their bill for some time as discussions were ongoing, and we still do that, and discussions are ongoing, and so we are in the same mode and in the same practice now as the Senate was with us, talking to us before the Senator's bill came.
Senator Shizawa told some of us today that he does expect the bill to be released so it can be substituted and sent back over for your action. Is that part of the ongoing negotiations, releasing that?
There's nothing solid yet on how that would work.
on the healthcare, I got a couple of questions from Max Roth. Sends his love. But
Tell Max I said hi.
he says the Foundation for Open Government, the Foundation for Government Accountability says that they had a big influence in the House response to Healthy Utah. Is that correct? Some Florida-based group, I guess.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't know that name, I will tell you that I've not been coordinating. I mean, there's enough stakeholders to be found. You can't swing a dead cat and not find a zillion people that we've been talking to in this room or in this Capitol that we don't go to Florida to talk about Medicaid expansion.
Who opposes the Healthy Utah plan? Outside of the House members?
Let's postmortem. We could talk about this once. I don't want to dive too much into who likes, who doesn't like. We're still optimistic here and looking to find support for a plan. And so I don't really want to talk about it almost in the past tense yet, Robert. Let's wait till I know there's post legislative, analysis that we'll be able to do.
Did you guys talk to Paul Ryan about this? This is the other question he wants to know.
I was fortunate enough to receive a call by Congressman Ryan. He's the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and I think that the work that we're doing here in Utah is been noticed nationally, and I received a call from him, and he gave his perspective, at least on we have spent a lot of time looking at the match, the federal match, and a lot of what we would decide to do would be dependent on that 90% match or a 70% match, and can we depend on that? Is that something that you can plan for long term? So he had some opinions to share about that, and again, it informs the process, and I very much appreciate the call.
On the caucus today, where you talked about the Religious Liberties Anti-Discrimination Bill 296, you had a continued caucus discussion today, because I understand all the questions weren't answered in your caucus yesterday on that. Have they been answered now? Are you ready to take a vote?
Well, have all the questions been answered? I think that, again, given the topic, given the passion that stakeholders have on all fronts, I don't know that you ever get to that moment, but the more time that we spend, the better informed we all become. And I tell you, I am very proud of the work that's been done up to this point. And I think that, again, perfect can't be the enemy of good. And I think that everyone can stare at the work that's happened, the way people have come together. Show me anywhere in the country, frankly, where we're seeing the stakeholders that are as passionate about these issues as people across this country are. Show me a state where people are coming together like this. I think it's historic. I'm very excited for these bills to be brought on the floor.
Will
So
that
they're
one
ready
come
to
up
go to the
today,
floor.
you think?
Well, we'll have a committee hearing. We're going to do this extraordinary, this unusual committee hearing
On
today.
296? I
On
thought only
the
297.
No, 296 has had its hearing, but on 297, we think those bills are, because they're similarly related, we'd like to hear them together, or I don't know if we've put them right next to each other, but we'd like to get that issue done and voted on, and we'd like to get it, get that one done. We've got a lot to do. So we'll have the hearing on 297. We'll have both of those then ready for the House to consider. I would expect tonight, tomorrow. I don't know what the timing would be now that we're coming down to those last remaining hours of today and tomorrow, but it'll be quick. But again, I'm very pleased.
Any concerns about constitutionality of 297, the marriage and clerks issue?
You know what? There's when you're stepping into a new space, the attorneys have set a filing fee, and an opinion will get you a challenge. And so I don't know. We've put our best eyes to this effort. We have legal counsel that gives us their best work for us to get something that we feel is solid legislation, and that's what we've done. So we hope that with everyone having a vested interest in this bill, that the finished product is something that is defendable and something that's better than what we came here with.
Representative Dunnigan, we understand that you were meeting with Senator Shiwazawa earlier this morning. What's your perspective on how those negotiations
I
are
meet
going?
with Senator Shiwazawa every day, and sometimes twice a day. So I told him I'm going to rename my office to Senator Shiwazawa office. We are continuing to work. I have a lot of admiration for Senator Shiwazawa. So both of us share a common goal, and that's to try to find a solution to people within the coverage gap. We continue to work on that.
Any movement from either side, from your perspective?
I don't think beyond what the speaker has said. I mean, so we just continue to talk. We talk about ideas. We talk about the possibilities, and again, we share the desired outcome.
At this point, are you hopeful that a resolution can be reached by tomorrow, or do you think this is going to extend into a special session?
Well, I'm hopeful that we can come to a resolution or an agreement with our colleagues in the Senate and with the governor on the best path. So I think that's still attainable, and I hope we can do it.
Agreement meaning perhaps a special session?
I think it's too early to consider and talk about a special session. We have special sessions every year, but I think it's too soon. As the speaker said, I think there's 26 hours left, and that's like dog years, legislative time. That's still a lot of time to get something done.
State dog years or just dog years?
No, the state dog is still in the pound. I'd like to thank Chairman Noel for that.
Speaker, if I could just clarify, after today's caucus, do you feel that there's support to pass 296? Or is that still uncertain in your mind?
Well, I don't want to jinx anything, but I do think that there is a good support. I think there is a deep respect for the work that's gone into this and the collaborative nature. It's a tough issue to find that kind of compromise and agreement, and I feel they have struck a good balance, and I think it's an important bill. And I think it's something that we as Utahns can be very proud of, and I think it'll be a model.
I think the two caucuses that we've had on that have been extremely productive to talk about the religious liberties and the anti-discrimination. And I was frankly impressed with the amount of time that our colleagues have delved into that to try to understand it. And we had some really good expertise in our caucus to answer questions and address it. And it was extremely productive, I thought.
I think despite all the Healthy Utah conversation we had, this is every bit as important of a policy that we're moving towards. And I think dedicating the two full caucus and being able to discuss it, ask questions, and be frank with one another, I think is really important to have.
One of the two committee members that voted against it was Representative Green last night, and his concern was that it's not balanced enough on the side of religious freedom. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I think Representative Green's questions and concerns are questions and concerns all lawmakers have about whether that balance has been struck appropriately. We talked about that. We talked about what that bill does or doesn't do. And again, I think that if you're coming into any of these discussions hoping to get your perfect or the ideal, it's not what compromise is. You have to find that common ground and get to something that's good. And I think that's what people started to realize as we discussed this, that this is good on multiple fronts and better than what we have today. So I expect good things.
And speaking of compromise and everyone getting along, gas tax, is that
In the works.
It sounds like that's kind of being held up in the Senate over the local option, and you can't sell the increase they want over here with.
I wouldn't describe all of that to the process of that bill. I think the Senate's looking at what we've sent them, and there's been great conversations between senators and House members. And again, that's another area that I'm optimistic. We're optimistic. We're going to be sent. That bill's going to probably have some influence in the Senate. They're going to want to do some things that might not have been reflected only in the bill we sent over there. So I think that's all coming. I think we have time, and that's another area that I'm very optimistic.
Are you willing to take something that doesn't have a local option tax increase in it?
I'm not. Again, where we're at right now is not a place where I want to negotiate the bill through the media availability.
We're here for you.
I know you are. I appreciate this. It's like an Oprah moment. I get this all off my chest. But sorry.
When you discuss this in caucus, do you get the sense that the Republican caucus would be willing to go along with the 5-cent increase of the Senate?
Robert, what we decided is, because we have so many issues that we're dealing with, we'll confront what we have when we have it. I'm not. If we get into the practice of imagining scenarios or hypotheticals and trying to get an agreement on it with the finite time we have, if that's not what comes over, then what did we waste that time for? So we will discuss and confer on what we get, and we haven't received anything yet, so we don't have a sense of what we would do. So.
Okay, last question.
Can you talk?
Go ahead. Sorry, I want to ask Representative Dunnigan. Earlier on, you'd said if there were any compromise, it might be Utah Cares first, Healthy Utah second. Are you at all going to budge towards Shizawa's idea that it be flipped? Healthy Utah come first.
Well, I think there's a good mix of ingredients there. It's still to be determined how that all ends up. So we're working on it, and I think a lot of people have their own preference. But again, we want to do what's best for Utahns. That's why we're doing this. That's why we have put an inordinate amount of time and devoted an inordinate amount of time in this session to Medicaid issues is because we want to find the right path for Utahns. And it's a lot of work that's gone into it, but we're determined to find that path.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
What's the plan tonight? How late did you go?